we have Mr. Tali Trigg with us, an esteemed energy and transport analyst from the Paris-based International Energy Agency and a lead author of Energy Technology Perspectives 2014, a report that offers an across-the-board long-term analysis of trends in energy and the technologies necessary to achieve an affordable, secure, and low-carbon system. And we also have Professor Giacomo Luciani, the scientific advisor of the energy program at the Paris School of International Affairs. We both welcome you to the Paris School of International Affairs on behalf of the Sciences Po Energy Association. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We wanted to ask you a few questions. So, Mr. Trigg, based on your expertise on current trends in the energy sector and associated technologies, do you anticipate any significant changes with respect to the electrification of the transport sector?
Sure. So I think within the spectrum of improving vehicle technologies, there's a lot of different configurations, everything from natural gas to hydrogen, and then electricity. I think you've seen a lot of news about electric vehicles recently. You see them in Autolib here in Paris, for example, and so you're starting to see it crop up in real life. I think that's nice when you're working on something. When I started to work on this, you didn't see them, and now you actually see them every single day. So it's nice to see proof of concept a little more than, say, just a pilot project. What I will say in terms of trends is that we're seeing a few drivers pushing electric vehicles. One is, we shouldn't forget that we're talking about electric vehicles across all modes.
Drivers pushing, which doesn't mean that they are pushing because they...
Not necessarily.
It's not the driver that is pushing behind.
He's keeping me honest here, so... True. So, for example, electric two-wheelers is a bit of an untold story. So in China, there's something like 200 million electric two-wheelers, which really overshadows the market for passenger electric vehicles, at least to date anyway. You see a lot more, everything from trams to electric buses being discussed, even ships. What's actually driving this? A lot of it has to do with maybe not climate change, as some might suspect, but local air pollution. So as we continue to urbanize, as we move into cities more and more, population grows, we're seeing the consequences of local air pollution. Here in Paris, I'm sure we remember this summer when we saw a lot of particulate matter, which almost shut down the city for a few days. And we're seeing this across the world, of course. So, for example, China and India, some of the cities are really driving the push for vehicle electrification, or at least understanding it, because of these concerns for local air pollution.
Thank you. And another question is, you have worked on areas such as improving access to reliable and current data about bus rapid transit systems, also known as BRT, and bus corridors in operation. Would you share your thoughts on the current BRT data project?
Sure. So it's a project that started a few years ago. We worked with Embark, which is a transport think tank part of the World Resources Institute, based in Washington, D.C., but they have big offices in India, Mexico, Turkey, Brazil, and China. The idea behind bus rapid transit is it's quite simple. You've probably seen segregated busways before, as in the bus can only drive there. But in a lot of cities around the world, cars go into those busways, they really slow down, it's not very well designed. So it turns out that a well-designed system, which was pioneered all the way back in 1974 in Curitiba, Brazil, can actually get you almost the system benefits of a metro system, but sometimes at a fifth to even a tenth of the cost. So the really star system today, some would say, is in Guangzhou, China. And later tonight in the presentation, I'll be showing a slide just to show you kind of a before and after, and the effects are just remarkable. Moving something like, I think it's 50,000 passengers per hour per direction, which is really metro kind of level.
Well, we look forward to that presentation. And so as you know, the Sciences Po Energy Association represents a student body. Many of us are interested in starting a career attached to the development of and use of low-carbon technologies. What would your advice be to our students?
That's a good question. I guess there's two parts to it. One is one, I think, a suggestion which you hear a lot, which is to try to pick a niche that sort of gets your foot in the door. And I think a lot of times what we find is, this includes myself, I started doing something that I didn't necessarily want to do the rest of my life, or specifically just that. But by being good at one thing and skilled in one area, you start learning the methodology behind that area. Then you can start really applying that to other things. So I mean, I would think it's not necessarily true that it's a straight line. It's more, you know, back, up and down, and you figure it out. So anyway, I would just encourage people to maybe not be dissuaded from picking a subject just because they don't want to do it for the rest of their life. I think it could be a good entry. And then also reaching out to people. I do find, having worked in the energy field, and also having been out there, you know, looking for jobs and so on and so forth, and connections, I think it's kind of underestimated how important it is to just reach out to people. When somebody emails someone, I say this at my own risk here, but it's hard to ignore that email. You kind of have to, or you should at least, I find, respond to that email or a letter, you name it, or meet for a coffee to discuss. So I think those are really good ways just to get information on maybe not a job at that person's place, but somewhere else, for example. So.
And thanks to the mentorship of Professor Luciani, we are getting there.
No, I mean, this is very wise advice. That's always what I tend to tell you. You should not be shy. You should send out emails, applications, and see what opportunities open up. Because in the end, as Tali said, you know, it's difficult that your road will be straight. You know, everybody's road has several kinks and several unpredictable turns, and then, but in the end, if you are intelligent, you will capitalize on whatever opportunities or lack of opportunities have come to you. So that's the name of the game. And I think what the International Energy Agency is doing is extremely interesting. It's really pioneering work. The agency is very well known for its World Energy Outlook, but in many ways the Energy Technology Perspectives, which is a sort of parallel publication, is even more interesting, especially for our students who, after all, have a chance to see the technology in action eventually at some point.
Well, thank you very much for being with us, and we look forward to your presentations today.
Okay,
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.